What's up, everyone? Today we're going to take a look at a new Kickstarter for Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, a new adventure game by Awaken Realms. So Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon is a 1-4 player, what they call an unforgettable experience. It's a board game that is set in a King Arthur Legends realm. It's sort of like the apocalypse for King Arthur. So let's take a look at it. Now, I wanted to do this a little bit different than how I normally do it, in which I have a script and talk about it. I kind of want to change this up to be more of a discussion, and I'm hoping that you'll engage with me a little bit more in this and tell me more in the comment section how you feel about the game, if you're going to back it, so on and so forth, and make this a conversation. If you don't want to, that's cool. You can just watch the video. I'm going to give you some information on the campaign. But I'm going to be giving it with more of my opinion than I did in the past. So here's kind of the setting. The really quick setting is the land was never meant for us. We took it anyway. Now the king is gone and the whole realm is dying again and again. So I'm guessing that that's King Arthur. That is some very Arthurian looking sigildry on his shoulder pads and on his crown. So I'm guessing that that's King Arthur. He is now dead. He has faded into the mists of Avalon, and we are going to have to keep the realm from turning into chaos. So I'm trying to get this up within the first 24 hours. If I do, just letting you know that as consistent with most of Awaken Realms' games, you can get an extra hero for free. Now, this hero is not exclusive. You can buy it. It'll cost you $10 US or £8 if you want to buy it separately. It says it's Kickstarter exclusive. True, it's Kickstarter exclusive, but the only part that is early access is the idea that it's free. You can still buy it. So this is the kind of thing that I actually like. If I was to join tomorrow or the next day in this, into this program, I would not be upset with the fact that somebody else got a free miniature. This is true of Nemesis. In Nemesis, I did not get the medic. I didn't back early enough to get the medic for free. I also decided not to pay for it because looking at the game, I didn't think it was that necessary. I'm probably never going to play the game with that many people. That I'm going to need each and every character so that everyone can play in this game as well as the other Awaken Realm games. There's a ton of characters anyway, so you're actually already getting a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th character just from stretch goals. This is just what they're calling the 5th hero. It's actually just one free person. So while this does look like a really awesome sculpt, if you feel like you need it and this has come out in time, rush over there, get it. If you see this late, I wouldn't be too worried about it. It's one mini, one board, and some cards that you missed out on for free for not being there early enough. But overall, the gameplay experience is for the most part going to be exactly the same. Excuse me. So what you're getting all together here, you can see on the board, the board is modular. It's actually made up of cards, and we'll talk about that in a second, how I feel about it. But it's 1-4 players, 2 to 3 hours per play. 14 and up is the age range, which, that you decide for yourself and for your family and kids. It's always weird when I see age ranges on here. You know your kids better than they do. Open and play system. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. The open and play system means that the setup is supposed to be basically negligible. So instead of having this huge setup, which Awaken Realms' other games that they've had so far have a very long setup. Some people don't mind that. I'm in that camp. I don't really care if the setup is long. I'll plan for it. But it is nice to know that if a game says it's 2 hours, the setup doesn't add an extra 20 or 30 minutes to that. Especially when a game is 2 to 3 hours, an extra 30 minutes is actually something that you need to consider because that could be the difference of you being late to something or not. So it's actually a pretty big deal. And then the quick save system we'll talk about in a little bit as well. That's the next step up on here, but I do have a slide for that. What's nice is that they also tell us here that the campaign, if you want to play the complete campaign, it's actually going to be 30 to 40 hours long, depending on how quickly you're able to beat it. The chapters are 2 to 3 hours, so each chapter that you play is going to be 2 to 3 hours, but overall you're getting 15 of those experiences before you're done, and it's replayable. Both the campaign and the chapters are replayable. Now, I have never played a video game, board game, anything like that 15 times. So, I mean, like, let's be honest here. Most of the Kickstarter games that I've gotten them this year. So, of course, I haven't played them 15 times in a year. But over the lifespan of a game, playing it 15 times is a ton of times. So, the fact that this already comes with 15 unique experiences, and then the fact that they're replayable, means that this is already chocked full of stuff. So the core box is going to be 70 pounds or $90. That comes with all stretched goals. Like I said, it has 8 miniatures in the board in the game, which we already know that 4 of them are the heroes. If you back early, you get that 5th one. 4 double-sided boards, and then a whole bunch of cards. They break them down into small, standard, and oversized cards, but I don't think anyone's looking at this going, oh my god, well, I don't feel like they have enough oversized cards in there. I mean, I really wish they had 100 oversized and only 70 small. Nobody cares. So the fact that it's, they broke that out, it's a little silly to me. I'm just pointing it out because it's silly. It's something that I noticed. The artwork on this box is awesome. It's going to probably be displayed if it looks like that when it comes to my house. I'll want to display it because that is gorgeous artwork. The important part on here, or the part that I wanted to point out, is that 220 pages of story. 220 pages of story is a very, very interesting proposition. So real quick, looking at the breakdown of each of those things. So you have here Bjor. I'm not sure how to say it. Sorry. He looks like a warrior. He's got his big thick hammer. He's got tattoos. Looks real mean, and he looks like he's gonna just pound the bad guys into the ground. They're at 32 millimeter scale. I love that they say that. I know that these are going to be Zombicide style sized miniatures. I know I can place them. I know if I'm going to like painting them or not. That's awesome. They also talk about the double layer boards, so that gives us clue into the box reference where it said we had 4 double layer boards. Well, there's one of the double layer boards. So we know that they meant 4 character boards. Then they have the different types of character upgrades, which they actually say the type of card on there, 63 by 88 millimeters. So if you want to get sleeves, you can actually get that long before this game is shipped to you. That's a pretty neat thing. Here's what the bad guys look like. They're at 70 millimeter scale, so they're twice as large as the heroes. They have excellent detail, and from what I'm hearing from other people who have Awakened Realms games, their miniature quality is awesome. So I'm very, very excited. They're giving Cool Mini or Not a run for their money with these very, very awesome minis. So I'm super happy to see this. Now, this is just a render. This is not an actual model. You can tell that because number 1, they're not on a base. Number 2, they have things that are floating in front of them and aren't actually connected. Like you can see at the bottom of the model that there's candles in a bowl. That's not going to be there most likely when the model is actually finished. But we'll see throughout the process. But if this is what they're starting with, this is excellent. And the now I've forgotten the game, the last game that just came out, Nemesis. The Nemesis models actually do look like what their renders were, and they worked really, really hard to make that a reality. So we'll see what happens with this one. Who knows? We may get those little tiny candles. But a 70 millimeter scale model we're getting to the point where this model is moving from miniature game piece into actual paintable, scalable model. And we might see people actually use these models for competitions because of their size, which means that they can get the detail in there, and they can make set pieces out of these. So it'll be interesting to see if that ever does actually happen. Nobody has to, but who knows? So the world is made up of cards, and I think that this is super unique and really, really cool. And all these cards are double-sided. And so the cards, as they come out, they tell you what spawns in, what storylines are being read, what type of items you're able to draw, what kind of combat is going on, so on and so forth. So I think that this is a super unique thing. Now, I don't know exactly how that plays out. I've been watching videos, and I'm still a little unclear on it, but it'll probably be cleared up as time goes on with more and more videos explaining how to play. But you can see on the cards that there is scenery, and that scenery matches up to the other cards. So I don't know if you have to put them out in specific orders if they're already preset, but nonetheless, because it kind of looks like it, you can see on some of the cards that they have like 305. So maybe if you want to move in that direction, you pick up card 305, which Seventh Continent did that. And maybe this uses that Seventh Continent system, which I know a lot of people that played that game absolutely love. So I'm excited for that here. Here's that part of the books, 220 pages of exploration journal. The open and play guide is separate from that. So this is not 220 pages of rulebook, because the rulebook is separate from that. It is not intro letters, which I don't know exactly what that means, but I think that is like your character letters telling you their backstory. That's not part of it. We're talking 220 pages of narrative gameplay. That's really, really cool, and I'm very excited about that. And when I heard about that, that's what put me in this one. It wasn't the miniatures, because this is not a miniature-heavy game. It wasn't the fact that it's narrative-based, because that could be hit or miss big time. It's the fact that it was King Arthur, which is always a cool subject, and 220 pages of actual story. Now, again, that story might be bad, but the fact that they are putting that effort into it, I'm happy that effort is there. Here's the quick save part that I said I would talk about earlier. So we can now see kind of how Awakened Realms understands this by looking at Edge of Downfall. I think that's what that game is called. Darkness, Edge of Downfall. I'm not exactly sure. It'll be in the slide at the very end, and we'll look that up. But one of the games that just came out, it's been shipping, and they just had a second run of it. That game has narrative components also, and has save systems. And so now we can see how those save systems work. So they have markers, they have sheets where you write everything down, and they also have an insert where you can put all of your stuff back in there to make sure that you do not forget. And that is awesome, because a 3-hour game, not everyone is able to have a 3-hour chunk, but a 3 hours within a week, 3 hours within 2 weeks, most of us can pull out 3 hours to have some quality time with friends in 2 weeks, especially if we can spread it out an hour and a half. But 3 hours in a single chunk might not be that easy, especially if you want to play with 3 or 4 people. It gets harder and harder the more people you add. So it's really cool that they took that into consideration. So here, if you back the second half, so there's only 2 pledge levels. The first pledge level we talked about was $90, which is an incredibly good value. If you go up to the I think it's $140, it adds this box here, which is the Monsters of Avalon. They say it ships with the core box in the first wave. They're going to do 2 wave shipping again, which means that you'll get the first wave mid to late 2019, and the last wave will come in the first of 2020. That will be all the stretch goals and any add-ons that they add during the campaign. But this will come right away. And what you need to know about this one is that if you go here, it says 20 high-quality detailed miniatures. Each sculpt is unique, so 20 separate minis, and they're all big minis, 50 millimeter scale and up. So go to the campaign and click on this picture, and it'll take you to a JPEG of where you can see all of the miniatures, because they're only showing 4 here. But at first, I was like, 20 minis for almost $60. That's not that good of a deal, but once I saw them, I said, okay, I'll actually have to think about this because they look incredible. And again, they look like they're going to be awesome to paint and awesome to even put on display. They look great. So it was, The Edge Downfall is what it was called. So Awakened Realms is saying their track record. This War of Mine, some people absolutely loved. Some people who didn't like it kind of said that it was really heavy to set up and also really heavy to deal with. I've played the video game. That game is heavy. So it doesn't really, I don't think that that's a failure of it. They did what they meant to do. It's just some people didn't love it as much. The Edge Downfall, I've been watching people play it and people seem to really like it. The war chest was very expensive, but it came with a billion things. Lords of Hellas, people are saying that game is incredibly fun. I haven't had the chance to play it yet. And then Nemesis. Nemesis is shipping now, and the reviews look through the roof. People seem to be absolutely loving that game. So on track record for components, I think, yes, A+. You guys have done well. Now, of course, when I see Nemesis, I'll review it. I'll do an unboxing. I'll be painting it, and I'll know for myself. But this is, so take this as only what the world is saying. The world is saying components, excellent. They're saying gameplay, it depends on if you like it or not, but the people who are into that type of thing love these games. There's like, these games are deep, complex. They love them. Shipping. All of these games, from what I understand, shipped late. And Nemesis is no exception. It is still late. It is late by, at this point, 3 months. It was supposed to be here in September. It is going to potentially be late December, maybe early January. So even as much as 4 months out. So is that the worst thing in the world? No, it's still showing up. I think that that's probably the most important thing, is that it's actually going to be here. But just know that if they're saying that it's going to be late 2019 for shipping, it could be into 2020 for first wave shipping. So we'll end on this amazing sculpt of the Mistbearer, and I want to know from you, are you excited about this campaign? Have you spent all of your money? This campaign runs until the end of the month, I think the 29th, so it will actually be after, or maybe the 26th, it will be after Christmas. So will you be waiting to see how much money you get from Christmas to know if you want to back this or not? Also, let me know, are you going to back for the base pledge, or are you going to back for the full thing with the expansion? I really appreciate it. Also, let me know, do you like this more conversational piece of where I'm just talking about my feelings on it, or do you want something that's quicker, the 8 to 10 minute video that is much more structured of just like, hey, here are all the points. Are you interested? Goodbye. Otherwise, make sure you like the video if you like this structure. If not, please comment. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more stuff about Kickstarter and about miniatures. And definitely look in the links below for all of my painting equipment that I use, so that if you are wondering about any of those, you can find the links below. And I will see you all next time.